Fascinating developments yesterday. Let's talk about them as they happened. Jess Phillips withdrawing from the leadership race yesterday. A very short-lived campaign. She said she didn't think she did very well in the hustings at the weekend, and she didn't think she was the person to unite the party. Is she a great loss, or is she the candidate that could have actually worried the Conservatives?
I mean, she might have done. I think her problem was that she didn't ultimately take up a position on any significant policy issue. She's a big personality. She's got a big part to play in politics going forward. But if you don't ultimately have very much to say on the substance of the political issues, then ultimately you're not going to, as it were, make an impact sufficient to keep you in play on the battle, basically. So I think to some extent, although there are very short periods of time within which to put your point of view in the hustings that we've got, nevertheless, you've got to have done the work to work out what your position really is.
And also, it's one thing being a backbench MP and being asked to sort of comment or criticise or give your opinion. That's very different from actually going into as an interview as an alternative Prime Minister and actually, as you say, having the substance of the politics. Well, it's interesting. I mean, she, in a YouGov poll of Labour members for the Times earlier this week, suggested she was only the first choice of 11% of Labour Party members, which had put her in third place originally of those candidates. But of those who chose her, 60% had Sir Keir Starmer, the Shadow Brexit Secretary, as their second choice. So that looks like Jess Phillips leaving the race will actually be very good for Sir Keir Starmer. Her support will go to him largely. But what about Lisa Nandy? I mean, there was a thought, she to a lot of extent was competing with Jess Phillips for that sort of I'm the honest candidate, I'm outside of the shadow cabinet sort of role. She getting that boost from the GMB union, that was a huge boost, wasn't it? Bearing in mind at this stage of the process, after getting MPs and MEP support, candidates need the nominations of 3 Labour affiliates, including at least 2 unions, which must comprise of at least 5% of affiliate members, or they need nominations of at least 33 constituency parties. But she's already had the NUM, she's now got the GMB. That is going to place her in very good stead in this election, isn't it?
Yes, she has been impressive because she has been talking about the big thing that happened in the general election, which is we lost so many seats in the Midlands and the North that we fell back hugely, and the recognition that we can only get back into power if we have some means of recovering large chunks of those seats and certainly not losing other ones. Lisa has been specifically addressing that issue in some considerable detail. She has had a position and has made an impact in relation to it. The Labour Party quite often doesn't go for the front runner. The Labour Party tends very frequently to be attracted by somebody who starts as an underdog, appears to be, in a sense, more radical or more interesting than the conventional front runner. So I do not think that this contest is by any means decided. And I think Lisa, perhaps like Ed Miliband, perhaps like Jeremy Corbyn, could suddenly come from behind. Obviously, on the basis of the poll you referred to, the YouGov poll, and there's been, I think, 1 or 2 before that from YouGov, it looks like Keir is the one who's the one to beat. But do not underestimate what Lisa Nandy may achieve. She has done incredibly impressively. I mean, it's not her fault, but I think it is a very ugly look, by the way, that who gets onto the ballot looks like it's effectively being determined by the big unions.
But no, not effectively being determined. That was literally the point of these rules, to make sure it was about unions. I have to say, Lisa Nandy has put some feet wrong already, though. I mean, yesterday she tweeted out that the government has admitted to me that crucial workers' rights like equal pay, maternity leave and holiday pay could all be scrapped as early as next year. Nobody voted to lose these vital protections, and we must fight them every step of the way. This is as a result of us leaving the EU. This being, I'm trying to think of a word I can say on air this time of the morning, if children might be listening, but absolute and utter balderdash nonsense, bearing in mind on all the issues, whether it's sick pay, holiday pay, maternity pay, minimum wage and the like, we actually have far, far better terms than what is where there are EU minimums, where EU minimums are set.
She's got a point, though, isn't the
Has
point?
She?
Yes, the point surely is, if you're not going to commit yourself to at least maintain that lead in all those workers' rights and environmental rights, and presumably the implication is you might substantially reduce those rights. And it may well be that what the Conservative government has in mind is to reduce those rights, to make the United Kingdom, inverted commas, more attractive, as they would see it, to invest.
I think you could reduce those rights and you'd be booted out at the next election, quite rightly.
So why not make the commitment?
I think, isn't this down to what has or has not gone into the Brexit bill? And again, that's the whole point.
Why not make the commitment? Even if it's not in the Brexit bill, why not make the commitment? We will never reduce those rights.
Why would you need to make that commitment if it's just not...
For the very point I just made. Why not make the commitment? That's the key issue, I think.
I just don't even think it's on the agenda as one of the things that's being looked at. I mean,
why not make the commitment?
Let's make a commitment to not beat up our children. Why do people need to make that commitment? People just don't do it.
To reduce workers' rights. What's wrong with that?
I just think it's utterly bizarre. Let's go back to Labour, though. Let's go back to Ian Lavery, the chair of the party. He's called for Keir Starmer, who appears to be the front runner. Again, I wonder actually whether these polls are showing really who is going to win, because I think Rebecca Long-Bailey's still got a lot of support within the Corbynistas, who have a lot of control in the party. But Ian Lavery has called for Keir Starmer to stand aside so that a woman can definitely win the Labour leadership. Now, I don't remember any of the other political parties ever having to ask male candidates to stand aside so that they could get a female leader. Why does the Labour Party need to do that? What's wrong with the women in the Labour Party? Are they just not up to it?
This couldn't be possibly the same Ian Lavery, could it, who considered himself right to be the leader of the Labour Party?
No relation.
No relation. No. Well, I mean, I think it would be really good if the Labour Party did have a woman leader.
Why?
I do think, because I think we haven't had one.
So why does that make it a good thing to have one?
Because it would be good to indicate that women and men in the Labour Party have just as good an opportunity to become the leader.
Well, they do. What they do at the moment, they can stand and then people get a chance to vote.
But I think the fact that we've never had a permanent as opposed to temporary leader of the Labour Party who is a woman suggests, particularly to some women, that there's something in the Labour Party that prevents that happening.
Are you saying that the Labour Party members are sexist?
Well, I'm not saying that. But
well, what are you saying then? But we wouldn't need a man wouldn't need to stand aside to get a female leader if the best can. I just don't remember when Margaret Thatcher was elected. When far more recently Theresa May was elected as the leader. I mean, it was actually an all women shortlist by the end. The last two candidates standing were both women, including Andrea Leadsom. But there were no men standing aside just to make sure that someone who had different genitals from them won the leadership. Why would that be necessary?
It sends a very bad message that we've never had a woman leader, I think.
Is the message that the Labour Party is institutionally sexist?
No, I mean, I think if you, in my area of the law, we had for the last 2 or 3 years, the president of the UK Supreme Court was a woman, and that has a really empowering effect on people's sense that every place is open to women. And the fact that we've not had a leader, a female leader, sends it makes people wonder whether or not.
Yes. Well, I say, but either Labour establishment or the membership are sexist, or the women who stand for the Labour leadership just aren't really up to the job. Well, it's one or the other, isn't it? I can't think of any other explanation.
I mean, I think that it's absolutely clear that we have got women in the Labour Party who are well able to be the leader of the Labour Party. Why have they never become the leader of the Labour Party? Is it because there is inherent sexism? I don't know. But that's the worry.
Well, you say you don't know, but what's your suspicion then? You think that there is?
Well, I mean, maybe we've been too slow in over the years promoting women so that there's enough of a pool from which to draw. But it's
got plenty of women in the shadow cabinet. You got 4 of the 5 candidates until yesterday were women. Three of the 4 remaining are women. Plenty of choice of women. 3 very different women to elect. And yet Keir Starmer is the favourite, the man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't agree with the deeply unhypocritical Ian Lavery that you should step aside. I think the party's got to decide who they think the best person to lead the country at this particular moment is, or lead the party is at this particular moment. But I do worry. I do think it would be good if there was a female leader of the Labour Party.
Okay, absolutely fascinating. I never even understand this statement that it would be a good thing if it was a woman. As a woman, I've just never understood why this has any meaning whatsoever, as if women do things so completely differently from men. But there we are.